the setup. The crystal chandeliers of L'Aurora cast a warm golden glow across the restaurant, turning every surface into a dazzling display of wealth and prestige. Natalie Rivers gripped her plain black clutch tighter as she navigated the main dining area. Her simple dress felt increasingly out of place among the designer gowns and sharp suits. The air carried the scent of high-end cologne and vintage wine, whispering exclusivity and influence. She spotted her old college friends at a corner table, their laughter slicing through the room like crystal chimes. Vivian Cross waved her over with a smile too polished, too perfect. Her emerald gown likely cost more than Natalie's monthly paycheck as a grade school art teacher. The diamond bracelet on her wrist sparkled with every gesture. "Natalie, honey, you made it," Vivian called, her voice just loud enough to draw eyes from nearby tables. "We were starting to think you'd bailed on tonight's little surprise." Natalie's stomach churned as she approached. Something in Vivian's tone set her nerves on edge, but she forced a smile and slid into the empty chair they'd saved. The other women, all married to high-flying entrepreneurs or attorneys, eyed her with barely concealed amusement. So, Rebecca, a blonde who'd married a Wall Street hotshot right after college, leaned in. "We promised this would be a big deal, didn't we? Your mystery guy should be here any second." Natalie's hands shook slightly as she reached for her water glass. She'd been wary of this blind date from the start, but Vivian had been relentless, convincing. "Trust us," she'd said. "He's perfect for you. Handsome, successful, and he wants someone real, someone sweet." Now, surrounded by women who seemed to see her as a sideshow, Natalie wondered why she'd agreed to come. The logical part of her brain sounded alarms, but she'd ignored them, clinging to the hope that maybe her friends had grown kinder. The cruel game begins. 20 minutes passed, then 30. The empty chair across from Natalie seemed to taunt her with every tick of the clock. The table buzzed with talk of Hampton summer homes, elite preschools, and charity galas. Natalie tried to join in, sharing small stories about her students' artwork or her weekend volunteering at the animal shelter, but she felt like a ghost. "Wonder what's keeping him," Vivian said, glancing at her diamond-studded watch with mock concern. "Surely a guy would text if he was this late." "Unless," Rebecca added with a smirk, "he Googled Natalie Rivers and decided to do some digging first." The table erupted in laughter. Natalie's cheeks burned. She clutched her napkin, fighting to keep her composure as their jabs grew sharper. "I mean, come on." Jessica, who'd inherited her fortune from a family real estate empire, chimed in. "What kind of high-powered guy dates a schoolteacher? The paycheck alone would be a deal-breaker." "Maybe he's into charity cases," Monica said, her voice syrupy with fake sympathy. "Some guys like feeling above their partner." Natalie's throat tightened, but she forced out words. "Maybe he's just stuck in traffic. The weather's been rough today." The women exchanged looks that made Natalie's gut twist. Their responses felt choreographed, like a script she was only now catching on to. "Oh, sweetie," Vivian said, reaching across to pat Natalie's hand in a way that felt more patronizing than kind. "You're so hopeful. It's honestly adorable." The truth unfolds. As minutes dragged on, the table grew louder, more animated. The women were clearly enjoying themselves, sneaking glances at Natalie and whispering behind manicured hands. Other diners started to notice, their curious stares making Natalie feel like a caged animal. "You know," Vivian said, her voice carrying to nearby tables, "I heard something wild about tonight's guy. When he found out he was being set up with a suburban preschool teacher, he literally laughed." Natalie's blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" "Well," Vivian went on, savoring the moment, "guys at his level have certain standards. They want polish, connections, someone who elevates their status." Rebecca nodded eagerly. "It's like bringing a paper plate to a fine china party. Some people just don't fit in certain circles." The words hit Natalie like punches. She looked at these women she'd once called friends, seeing their sharp smiles and gleaming eyes for what they were. There was never a date, was there? Natalie whispered, barely audible over the restaurant's hum. Vivian's fake concern vanished. "Oh, honey, of course not. Did you really think we'd set you up with a real catch?" This night was about showing you where you stand." The words crashed over Natalie like a wave. She felt her face drain of color as their betrayal sank in. Around them, other diners began to catch on, some looking away, others watching like it was a reality show. The unexpected hero. Just as tears stung Natalie's eyes, the restaurant's front door chimed softly. A man strode in, tall, commanding, in a tailored charcoal suit that probably cost more than Natalie's car. His dark hair was neatly swept back, his jaw strong. But his eyes, dark, sharp, and confident, locked onto the room like he owned it. The restaurant's energy shifted, conversations paused, and people sat up straighter. Even Vivian's group fell silent, their laughter choking off. His gaze swept the dining room and landed on their table. For a split second, his expression was unreadable, but Natalie caught something in his eyes when they met hers. Maybe understanding, maybe anger on her behalf. He walked straight to their table, his steps sure on the polished floor. The room's chatter faded to murmurs. He stopped by the empty chair across from Natalie and looked down at her with those piercing eyes. His voice, deep and warm, cut through the tension. "I'm so sorry I'm late," he said, pulling out the chair and sitting with effortless grace. Traffic was a nightmare and parking was impossible. Natalie stared, stunned. She opened her mouth to say this was a mistake, but his subtle head shake and the warmth in his eyes stopped her, as if saying, "Trust me." Vivian and her friend sat frozen, jaws slightly agape. This wasn't in their plan. The tables turned. The stranger reached across and took Natalie's trembling hand, his touch steady and warm. "I hope you weren't too worried. I'd never stand up someone as special as you." His words carried through the restaurant, and Natalie saw recognition spark in some diners' faces. Whispers spread like wildfire. "Is that James Warwick?" Someone murmured nearby. "The tech mogul? The Forbes cover guy? What's he doing with her?" Vivian's face went pale. She leaned forward, voice barely a whisper. "James Warwick? The James Warwick of Warwick Innovations." The man, James, turned to her with a polite but icy smile. "I don't think we've met. I'm James, and this amazing woman is my date tonight." He gave Natalie's hand a gentle squeeze. She drew strength from his touch, the tears she'd been fighting replaced by a warmth she couldn't name. "I think," James continued, his voice now edged with steel, "we'd prefer a quieter table, away from the gossip and social climbers." He stood, still holding Natalie's hand, and gently pulled her to her feet. She moved as if in a dream, legs shaky but steady. As they walked away, James turned back to the table. "Ladies," he said, his tone dripping with contempt, "find better ways to spend your time than tearing down someone worth 10 of you." He led Natalie past staring diners to a secluded corner booth the host quickly prepared. Behind them, whispers and gasps trailed like a wake. The aftermath. Settled in their new seats, Natalie found her voice. "Why?" she whispered. "Why did you do that?" James studied her carefully, his features softening in the dim light. "Because no one deserves to be treated like that," he said simply. "But you don't even know me," Natalie protested, still reeling. "Now everyone thinks we're together. Won't that cause problems for you?" James shrugged, a faint smile on his lips. "Let them think what they want. Sometimes the right thing means standing up for a stranger." Tears welled again, but not from shame, gratitude, relief, maybe hope. "Thank you," she whispered. "I don't know how I'll repay you." James touched her hand gently. "You don't need to. Just don't let people like them make you feel less than you are." Over dinner, they talked quietly. James was surprisingly easy to talk to, asking thoughtful questions about her work with kids, listening intently. For the first time in years, Natalie felt truly seen. As the night ended and James walked her to her car, she turned to him. "I still can't believe you did that." His expression grew serious. "Sometimes fate puts you in the right place to make a difference. Tonight felt like that." Driving home through city lights, Natalie felt something shift inside her. She didn't know James Warwick's 7-year-old daughter, Emma, would start at her school that Monday, or that this chance encounter would spark a love story that would change their lives forever. The Monday morning surprise. Monday brought the usual chaos to Sunrise Elementary. Natalie unlocked her art classroom, breathing in the familiar scent of paint and creativity. The weekend had been a blur of replaying Friday's dinner, convincing herself it was real. James Warwick had stood up for her, made her feel worthy. As she set out supplies, Principal Martinez knocked on her doorframe. "Natalie, we've got a new student starting today. Emma Warwick. Her father requested you as her teacher." Natalie's heart skipped, but she brushed it off as a coincidence. Warwick wasn't that rare a name. What grade? Second, but she's advanced. Her private school records show exceptional creativity in art. Her dad mentioned she's had a tough time lately. As kids filtered in, Natalie spotted her, a small girl with dark curls and striking gray eyes, clutching a worn teddy bear, standing uncertainly in the doorway. Her simple blue dress looked pricey despite its understated style. "You must be Emma," Natalie said softly, crouching to her level. "I'm Miss Rivers. Want to pick a seat?" Emma studied her, then whispered, "Are you the angel lady?" Natalie blinked. "The angel lady?" Daddy said an angel lady helped him at dinner. She was kind and beautiful and reminded him good people exist. Natalie's breath caught. This was James's daughter. "I think your daddy meant someone very special," she managed, voice shaky. "Want to sit near the art supplies? I bet you'll love creating here." Emma nodded shyly and followed her to a table by the windows, where morning light poured in like liquid gold. Building trust. Over the next few hours, Natalie watched Emma closely. The girl was bright and polite, but carried a sadness that spoke of loss. During art time, while other kids laughed, Emma quietly painted a house with two figures in front. "That's a lovely house, Emma," Natalie said, sitting beside her. "Who are the people?" Emma traced the larger figure. "That's my daddy. He's tall and works a lot, but he always reads me stories." "And this one?" Natalie pointed to the smaller figure. Emma's voice softened. "That's me. I painted myself bigger because sometimes I feel so small." Natalie's heart ached. She placed a hand over Emma's. "You know what? I think you're just the right size. And your daddy's lucky to have such a thoughtful daughter." Emma looked up, eyes wide. "Miss Rivers, will you be my friend?" "I don't have many." "I'd be honored," Natalie said, and Emma's smile mirrored her father's warmth. The afternoon revelation. At pickup, Natalie stood with Emma by the school's entrance, watching for her ride. When a black sedan pulled up and James Warwick stepped out, Emma's face lit up. "Daddy," she called, running into his arms. He lifted her, spinning her once before setting her down. His eyes met Natalie's over Emma's head, and the world seemed to pause. "Miss Rivers," James said warmly, "how was Emma's first day?" "She's wonderful," Natalie replied, aware of curious parents nearby. "Very creative. She painted something beautiful today." Emma tugged his jacket. "Daddy, Miss Rivers is the angel lady, isn't she?" "I knew at the moment I saw her." James's expression softened. "Yes, sweetheart. Miss Rivers is very special." Emma grinned. "Can we invite Miss Rivers for ice cream?" Natalie flushed. "That's sweet, Emma, but I'm sure your daddy's busy." "Actually," James said, surprising them, "ice cream sounds perfect. If you'd like to join us." Ice cream and confessions. 30 minutes later, they sat in a cozy downtown ice cream parlor. Emma chattered about her classmates, strawberry ice cream streaking her chin. James and Natalie shared smiles, the moment feeling oddly natural. "She likes you," James said quietly while Emma admired a mural. "Emma doesn't warm up easily. Not since her mom passed 2 years ago." Natalie's heart ached. "She's amazing. You've done a great job raising her alone." James studied her. "Why were you with those women at the restaurant? They weren't your friends." Natalie sighed, stirring her vanilla cone. "College friends, or so I thought. Vivian set up the date as a cruel joke. I should have seen it coming." "Their loss," James said, "and my gain. If they hadn't been so awful, I wouldn't have met you." Their eyes met, and something shifted, not just gratitude, but something deeper. The complications begin. Over the next weeks, Emma thrived in Natalie's class, emerging from her shell, making friends, and diving into art projects. Natalie stayed late to help with special projects, and James arrived early for pickups, lingering to talk. Teachers noticed. Parents noticed. So did local gossip bloggers tracking eligible bachelors like James. A Thursday morning article hit. Tech billionaire's daughter at public school. Romance with teacher? Photos showed James and Natalie talking outside school, Emma between them, looking like a family. Principal Martinez called Natalie in. "We need to address this. There's talk about you and Mr. Warwick." "There's no relationship," Natalie said quickly. "I'm Emma's teacher. He's a parent. That's it." "I believe you," Martinez said, "but perception matters in this job. Be careful." That afternoon, Natalie kept her interaction with James brief. Emma noticed. "Miss Rivers, are you sad?" "I'm fine, sweetheart," Natalie said, but James caught the change. "Did something happen?" he asked. Glancing at eavesdropping parents, Natalie stayed formal. "Everything's fine, Mr. Warwick." She saw hurt in his eyes but walked away. The storm intensifies. That weekend, Diana Sterling, identified as James's late wife's best friend and Emma's godmother, returned from Europe, demanding a meeting about Emma's welfare. Monday, she stormed into school, a designer-clad force, her heels clicking sharply. Natalie glimpsed her through her classroom window, gesturing fiercely to Martinez. At lunch, Martinez called Natalie in. Diana sat across from his desk, her eyes cold. "Miss Rivers," she said, "I hear you're close to the Warwick family." "I'm Emma's teacher," Natalie replied. "It's professional." Diana's smile was sharp. "Really?" Photos of ice cream dates and cozy chats suggest otherwise. Natalie felt trapped. "I can explain those." "I'm sure," Diana said. "But Emma's too attached. For a child grieving her mother, this could be damaging." Martinez nodded uncomfortably. "Maybe we should transfer Emma to another class." "No," Natalie said. "She's thriving. Her art, her friends, she's finally opening up." "Under false hope," Diana countered. "You're letting her see you as a mother figure. When reality hits, she'll be crushed." The meeting ended with orders to monitor the situation and set strict boundaries. Emma's pain. New rules hit hard. No one-on-one time with Emma. No after-school art sessions. James was limited to brief communications. Emma's bright smile faded. She withdrew, painting stormy skies instead of colorful landscapes. "Miss Rivers," she said after class, "did I do something wrong? You don't like me anymore." Natalie knelt, touching her cheek. "You did nothing wrong, sweetheart. You're perfect. Sometimes grown-ups have dumb rules." "Is it Aunt Diana?" Emma asked. "She told Daddy you're trying to replace Mommy. But I said that's not true. Nobody can, but I can still love you, right?" Tears stung Natalie's eyes. "You're the smartest girl I know. Don't ever forget that." That evening, James showed up at Natalie's apartment, looking worn. "We need to talk." The confrontation. In Natalie's cozy living room, filled with her students' art, James radiated raw emotion. "Diana's trying to ruin us," he said. "She's filed a complaint with the school board, claiming you're manipulating Emma. She's hired a PI to dig up dirt on you." Natalie sank onto her couch. "Maybe she's right. Maybe I'm too close. Emma needs stability." "Don't," James said fiercely, sitting beside her. "Emma lights up around you like she hasn't since her mom died. You've given her hope, joy, things I couldn't." He took her hands. "Diana loved me. She thought I'd turn to her after Catherine. When I didn't, she blamed you." Natalie met his eyes, seeing vulnerability. "James, I'm falling in love with you and Emma. But I'm terrified. You're James Warwick. I'm just a teacher. People like Diana will win." He cupped her face. "I've been falling for you since that night. For the first time in 2 years, I see a future that's not empty." He kissed her, gentle, then deeper, full of unspoken promises. The confrontation. In Natalie's cozy living room, filled with her students' art, James radiated raw emotion. "Diana's trying to ruin us," he said. She's filed a complaint with the school board, claiming you're manipulating Emma. She's hired a PI to dig up dirt on you. Natalie sank onto her couch. Maybe she's right. Maybe I'm too close. Emma needs stability. Don't, James said fiercely, sitting beside her. Emma lights up around you like she hasn't since her mom died. You've given her hope, joy, things I couldn't. He took her hands. Diana loved me. She thought I'd turn to her after Catherine. When I didn't, she blamed you. Natalie met his eyes, seeing vulnerability. James, I'm falling in love with you and Emma. But I'm terrified. You're James Warwick. I'm just a teacher. People like Diana will win. He cupped her face. I've been falling for you since that night. For the first time in 2 years, I see a future that's not empty. He kissed her, gentle, then deeper, full of unspoken promises. The crisis unfolds. The next morning, disaster struck. Emma was missing after a field trip to the art museum. James called Natalie, voice tight with panic. She never got back on the bus. They're saying she vanished during free time. Natalie grabbed her keys. I'm coming. At the museum, James paced the lobby, his composure gone. Security and police bustled around. What happened? Natalie asked. The kids were in groups with chaperones, James said. Emma's group got separated. A kid said she was crying, asked to use the bathroom, and didn't come back. Natalie's gut twisted. What if she ran away on purpose? She knows we're fighting over her. Maybe she's trying to fix it by removing herself. James paled. Where would she go? Somewhere safe, Natalie said. Your apartment, she asked about it after ice cream. They raced to Natalie's building. The doorman confirmed a girl with dark curls had been there, waiting for Miss Rivers. They found Emma huddled outside Natalie's door, clutching her bear, face streaked with tears. I'm sorry, she sobbed as Natalie held her. I didn't want everyone mad because of me. James knelt, wrapping them both in his arms. None of this is your fault, sweetheart. The declaration. That evening, Diana arrived at James's penthouse with a court order for a custody hearing, lawyers, and a social worker in tow. She expected chaos, but found Emma doing homework with Natalie while James cooked. What is she doing here? Diana demanded. Helping my daughter, James said calmly. Emma looked up. And Diana, why are you mean about Miss Rivers? She's the nicest person ever. Diana faltered. Emma, you don't understand. I understand you want to take me from Daddy because you think he can't handle me. But he does, and Miss Rivers helps. Why is that bad? The social worker interviewed Emma alone, emerging with a smile. She's thriving. Her attachment to Miss Rivers is healthy, not a replacement for her mom. Diana left, defeated. On the balcony later, Natalie said, she'll keep fighting. James wrapped his arms around her. Then we'll fight together. He knelt, pulling out a ring. I love you, Natalie. Marry me. Be Emma's mom, my wife. Build our family. Emma appeared, bouncing in her pajamas. I helped pick the ring. Natalie laughed through tears. Yes. Yes, of course. The happy ending. 6 months later, Natalie stood in the bridal suite of Riverside Country Club, adjusting her elegant lace gown. Emma twirled in her pink tulle flower girl dress. You look like a princess, Miss Rivers. Happy tears, Natalie said, smoothing Emma's curls. The small wedding was held in the club's garden pavilion. James's colleagues mingled with Natalie's teacher friends and family. As Natalie walked down the aisle, James's eyes shone with tears. Emma scattered petals with glee. No objections came. Diana had moved to California, her fight over. I do, James said clearly. I do, Natalie echoed, tears of joy falling. Emma's cheers sparked laughter and applause. The new beginning. That night, after Emma fell asleep dreaming of petals, James and Natalie sat on their balcony. Regrets? James asked, fingers laced with hers. Only that it took Vivian's cruelty to bring us together, Natalie said. James laughed. Our story's perfect as it is. The best love stories start with a rescue. Who rescued whom? Natalie teased. He kissed her softly. We rescued each other. From Emma's room came soft laughter in her sleep. The city sparkled below, full of possibilities. Natalie knew they'd face challenges as a family, but that humiliating night had led to the life she'd always dreamed of. Sometimes, the darkest moments birth the most beautiful love stories, proving cruelty can turn to kindness when the right hearts collide. Natalie hadn't replaced Emma's mom. She'd added more love to a family ready to grow. In a cold world, that was the sweetest victory.